Hello everybody and welcome back to Some Answer on Bass. I've been absent for a little while. I've had quite a few things come up that needed to be done, and the other problem I've had is getting any new gear in here to review, because all of the stores in my area, generally most of the interesting stuff is out of stock, and then as a little bit of stock trickles in, it tends to go out the door pretty quickly to fulfill back orders, or people just snap it up because there's so little out there at the moment. So we've still got this this problem of supply chain issues. So that's been the two major reasons why I haven't been around. So I apologize for that, and I just want everybody to know that I'm well and healthy, and I hope that all of you are well and healthy also. I had a message from Mark Dooley via the comments feed regarding the WT550, and he says, "Hi Samatsa, I hope you're well during these hard times." I'm well, Mark, thanks for asking. I hope you're well too, mate. I hope everybody's well. I really like the review of the Eden 550, which we'll put for anybody that hasn't seen it. Just click that button up here somewhere and you get to that. Now, would it be possible to do another more in-depth video showing the different settings and tones with the parametric mids? I guess it would be most appreciated. I use a Stingray with the same amp, just looking for some ideas to get my tone. Cheers. So thanks for the question, Mark. Really appreciate that. I'm always happy to do videos to answer questions and hopefully give you some idea of which way to go and how to do things. So Mark, you're using a Stingray Bass, I imagine, much like this 4H single pickup. This is a 3-band EQ. And what I find with Stingray basses is if I have the amp set flat, they sound a little bit thin. I always find I use this with a little bit of bass boost and a bit of mid boost, and I cut the treble slightly and so I get a fuller, warmer tone, which is my preference, right? So I'm just going to run this now with the amp set flat, and for the exercise, I'm going to leave the EQ on the bass in the center detent, so you get an idea of only what the amp is adding or deducting from the sound. So let's just start with flat. So basically that's the flat sound of the bass going through the amp, totally flat. The WT550 does have a valve in the preamp. That adds a little bit of warmth, a little bit of character to the sound. And then the next thing that you come to once you've set your gain is the enhance control, and that has the effect of boosting the bass and the treble and scooping the mids. And I rarely use that past 9 or 10 o'clock depending on the bass, because I find higher than that it takes out too much of the mid information. Like this is on full, and it gets too trebly and not enough information in the mids. And that might sound okay at higher settings in your room at home, but when you're playing with a band, the bass tends to get a little bit lost in the mix because it's missing those crucial mids. So I'm going to set that at just 9 o'clock. So it's just slightly in there. Gives it a little bit of bite, yeah. And what I normally do, I like to boost the bass, and these knobs have detents all the way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So there's quite a few detents. I can't count them. I don't have enough finesse in my fingers. But I go up about 4 clicks, so from the center. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's just the bass control. So just covering off on the other controls, there's a shelving bass and a shelving treble, and then you have 3 mid bands. And so you have a low mid, a mid-mid, and a high mid, which gives you a lot of control of the mid-range, which is very, very useful. And I've just made some notes here. The low mid goes from 30 Hertz, which is very low, to 300 Hertz. The mid-mid goes from 200 Hertz to 2 kilohertz, and the high mid from 1.2 kilohertz to 12 kilohertz. So you can notice that they overlap a little bit at each end. So it gives you a great deal of control of your mid-range sound, which is important in cutting through a mix, in producing a good sound, and having it sit nicely in with the band. So with just that little bit of bass boost, I suppose it's at 1 o'clock. Let's have a listen to that. So now you can hear that's added a lot of thickness and bottom to the sound. And again, that's with the bass set flat. So I'm boosting the bass on the Eden preamp. And you don't have to go too far with your boost or cut on this preamp. It's actually pretty good somewhere around the middle, and you make slight changes and you find your sound. Now, the other thing I like to do is the low mid. I like to bump that up about the same to about 1 o'clock. And then I dial the frequency. If the center is 12 o'clock, I'll dial it back for a fretted bass to about 11 o'clock. And what that does, it adds that chest level punch at about 140, 145 Hertz. And you really start to, when it's cranked up a little bit, you can really start to feel it, yeah? So you can see there that it adds that punch in the low mids, and that's quite a useful control. Now on the fretless, I put it at about the frequency range of the low mid at about 1 o'clock, and it gives it a warmer, more articulate sound. And usually I'll roll the treble back to about 10 o'clock just to get rid of the too much high end from the strings, and it gives the fretless a really nice singing sweet sound, which is what I sort of go for. Now, the mid-mids do a lot of work, and if I dial those back for about, I'll go back to about 10 o'clock or something, 10:30, and also the same with the frequency control on that, so a little bit back from the center. And I'll turn the enhance off so you can hear the mid control now cutting the mids. So you can hear the mid control cutting the mids there, rather than using the enhanced control, and you can see that even that little difference scoops out quite a bit. And then you need to tweak the frequency control to suit your style, your bass, the music, the strings that you use, everything, the way you play, everything, your technique is going to have a big impact on where you need those knobs to be set. So I'm not trying to give you hard and fast fixed settings on this. I'm trying to give you the way I think of it, and then you can search and have a bit of a play with it and find your ideal sound through it. The other thing is the high mids now. If I boost those to about 1 o'clock, and I can use the frequency control now to find where I want the bite on the bass. So Again, it's going to be different for different techniques, different basses, different strings. So you have to find that frequency, but you can get that bite in the top end by giving it a bit of boost. So let's have a listen to that. There we go. So you can see that you can dial in all these sounds, and if you're using different basses, you can find the settings for each one that you like. So having those three mid controls gives you a lot more sculpting ability across the mids, and this becomes very useful for basses like, say, a P bass, because a P bass, and they all sound a little bit different, but you know, whether they're flat wound, round wound, different pickups, they've been around for such a long time. There's so many iterations of the P bass that you can get different sounds, but you can dial it in so you get your ideal sound because you have all that control in the mids. So I'm hoping that this video has helped you to understand how I think of the tone controls on the Eden preamps, and they're actually really good once you get your head around how to use them. So it's a matter of finding the cut or boost, finding the frequency, and when you're doing this, don't go too wild, because plus minus 15 dB is a lot. I'm only taking it a few dB either way, so it's very mild, so the amp sounds quite good in the flat position, so you don't need to tweak it too much to hone in on your sound. Because you have so much control and so much cut and boost, going too far each way can yield some unusual results sound wise. So I mean, it's up to you, you might like that, an experimental thing, but for me it's mainly meat and potatoes sort of bass playing, and I like to just dial in a good sound and stay with that. And sometimes if I want a little less treble, I'll drop it on the bass. If I want a little more mids, I'll boost it. A little more bass, I'll boost it on the bass, and not touch the preamp once I have my basic sound happening. So I hope this video has helped you to get a better understanding of that. I'm hopeful that it won't be that long before I speak to you guys again. I'll get some gear in here, we'll do a review, or at least talk about something. So until the next video, stay well, stay healthy, keep making music and keep playing bass, and be nice to each other. God bless. See you guys soon.